Okay, if Wynn could hit the right button, that would be helpful. Anyway, welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. Today is Friday, the end of March. Tomorrow's April 1st. So please don't pull any April Fool's jokes on me. I can't handle it because right now I am on cloud 9. So please don't take me off cloud 9 due to April Fool's Day, but that's beside the point. Today, Mel and I are going to talk about mindset and power of mindset because, as you guys know, you will actually hear this interview on Monday, or it is coming out on Sunday, but I was honored and blessed enough to interview 4 times New York Times bestselling author J.J. Virgin and how she got into this world of bestselling books is actually through cookbooks and being the diet guru and all that good stuff. But her latest book is called The Miracle Mindset. Basically, her son was left for dead, and he still has a traumatic brain injury. And so we were talking about mindset, and it was really interesting to me because one of the things she asked me was, how do you keep your mindset so good with cerebral palsy? And so we'll delve into that in a little bit in our recording with Mel. So before I lose Mel, and if you hear strange noises in the background, that's not on my end. That's on Mel's end, actually, because he's multitasking as usual. So before I lose him, I'm going to let him take it over.
Well, thank you, Wynn. Good afternoon and happy Friday, everybody. Wynn, we have a terrific topic today, which is mindset, and I really want to delve into that. Earlier, when you had mentioned that you were recording with JJ, I did a Google search that you had suggested, and there was a YouTube video of her discussing that experience she had with her son. And I got to tell you, I have a lot of respect for her. I mean, as a parent, I could not even imagine what that would be like. Her son is the same age as mine when he got into his accident. So anyway, yeah, definitely want to delve into the term mindset. Tell me what your thoughts are on mindset. What does it mean to you?
Well, as I said, and she asked me this, and you could hear me pause during this interview for a couple seconds. She said, well, what does mindset mean to you about cerebral and having cerebral palsy? And what I said to her is, I think it has a lot to do with my own personal upbringing. Now, the school where I work now, and I was lucky enough to be a student at, has no special ed program, has no, they have resources for learning disabled, but they have no resources for physical disability. So what I was put into was a class of able-bodied kids. And I think watching those able-bodied kids who were 3, 4, and 5, and of course I was the same age, but I had a totally different body, I learned how to control my body in an able-bodied way, funny enough, that I never thought I was going to learn how to control my CP in an able-bodied way.
If I may ask, Wynn, first of all, that's, how fortunate of you to have that kind of, already mindset and that self-confidence already. But how were you treated by your classmates? I mean, I'm trying to imagine, your able-bodiedness at the time. Obviously, it's different when you were younger. because your CP has progressed. But what was it like to have friendships with those people? With the other kids? Did they treat you any differently? Did they realize that you had it? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I can. But CP doesn't progress one. CP doesn't progress. You get it. Obviously, it comes from a traumatic brain injury, lack of oxygen at birth. But CP doesn't progress over time. MS progresses over time. Fibromyalgia progresses over time. And all the rest of the chronic disability progress over time. But CP only gets worse if you don't control it.
Understood. Thanks for the education. Obviously, it's something I need to learn. But so tell me about your friendships. What was it like?
I was very lucky to have made the friendships that I have, and I still have to this day. I mean, my classmates who knew me when I was young still come up and give me a big hug when I see them in town. So I was very lucky not to get teased and not to get bullied, per se, like the typical disabled child would. Now, I don't know whether it was something with Country Day philosophy, or I still can't figure that one out. Why my classmates never bullied me, even in high school. I know that in high school they had in their time classes they had a policy against bullying of the disabled. So I still can't figure out why I wasn't picked on or why I wasn't bullied, taunted mentally for my disability at Country Day. And so I think having those role models in my life really played a positive outlook on my mindset.
Absolutely. What great role models that they ended up becoming as well, along with, just coexisting with them all and having a great time. And I'm sure they're even probably protective of you, if it really came down to it, and that's what friendships are all about, right?
Well, not necessarily protective of me, but I tell you, kids, once they see a wheelchair, and granted I had adults with me at all time, and of course, the kids wanted to push me in the wheelchairs, and of course, the adults would let them. And the kids were a lot safer with the $1,000 than the adults.
Wow. How come?
That you asked me, how come as my headphone falls out? So it's so funny that you mentioned kids being overprotective. I still can't figure that one either. You would think that kids would want to play racing with a $1,000 pediatric wheelchair, but oh no, they were overprotective of that wheelchair, and they're still overprotective to this day of that wheelchair. I mean, I have a friend that is a long-time family friend, and she grew up with me, and even though we did not go to school together, she thought it was fascinating, and she'll tell this story publicly, so I know this story publicly. She thought it was fascinating that I had a child-sized train in my living room, and when she came over to my house, once she asked her parents, she said, "Can I ride Wynn's train?" And of course, they had to explain to her that, no, you can't ride Wynn's train. It's not yours. One, two, she uses it for mobility reasons.
Oh.
And so I think that that's how these young kids got to know me. As a result, I only saw able-bodied kids change my life. It wasn't until I was in high school, not only did I learn about cerebral palsy, did I learn about special ed. I'm like, oh, there's a thing called special ed for people like me. And this was when I was fully engaged with having cerebral palsy. So I think not being in special ed helped my mindset, but at the same time, I was integrated in several non-special ed classes.
It's almost as if you really had no choice but to not know any difference, right? Because there was nothing.
I really had no choice.
Right, you had no choice. I mean, you were going to do what everybody else did, and everybody else was going to deal with the fact that you were there. So that kind of laid the groundwork, and that was a common denominator. How awesome is that?
I had no choice as to, okay, I go skiing with my class. I go ice skating with my class.
Right.
I do all this with my class. And yes, on the occasion, I was pulled out for private physical therapy, but when the physical therapist would come into classroom, the kids would say, oh, hi, so-and-so, and carry on. And they didn't think anything of it. They didn't think, oh, when it's being pulled out. They knew by first and second grade and by kindergarten that I had special needs, quote unquote.
Right.
So I never really saw myself as a disabled person.
Fantastic. Well, you know, one of the things that really attracted to me to working with you and collaborating with you was that aside from being, you know, very smart and very resilient, very strong-minded, is that you competed in a Kona triathlon. And that really stood out in my mind. And that, to me, takes a lot of heart and a lot of inner strength and a lot of mental focus all in one. I have friends who are triathletes that have competed at that level, and I got to tell you, they're a special breed. So I have a lot of mad love and respect for you for that. So, you know, it's one of the reasons why I want to delve into this whole mindset thing, because in the coaching marketplace right now, the word mindset is everywhere. And, you know, I've had a 34-year career as a part of it as a personal trainer at first. And that term personal trainer is so overplayed that it kind of actually irritates me now, because it's, you know, someone said a long time ago, everybody wants to be a personal trainer. And in some ways, back then everybody did. And now that it's so overplayed, the word coaching is kind of on the next level. Now that coaching is part of the standard, and people are trying to become better coaches because it's more of a decision-making and a discovery and assessment process, the word mindset is now prevalent. And we're talking about the greats, you know, such as Tony Robbins, major player in the game. You know, probably one of the most recognizable names. And he uses the word mindset a lot. And I don't necessarily have a problem with it, more so that I'm concerned that it's going to get overplayed, just like the term personal trainer. Now, personal training is one of the main foundations of my skill set. I sincerely appreciate everything that personal training has brought me, all the success and all the relationships have brought me. However, at this point in my career, it is just a part of my skill set and talent set. Mindset is just a part of a journey of success. To me, I think the alignment of the heart, the love, the energy that comes from your heart, along with the mental focus and drive from your mindset is the true key to succeeding long term. Because in your mind, you can set all the goals you want, and it's usually triggered by an event that you don't want to occur ever again. Maybe a bit of an experience of failure or a feeling of not succeeding or a feeling of pain. And you say to yourself, I'm going to make it a goal to not ever let that happen again. And so I'm going to do this in place of that. Or if there's a prize that you want, right? If you're in sales or whatever, and there's a compensation for your effort, a reward for your effort, it's my goal to do this, and I will acquire that. Okay, that's great. Okay. However, that's a short-term, short-lived thing. To me, if you want to have a very successful life per se, I think it's very important that you recognize that your number one energy source is the love that you put behind everything. And your heart is the only thing that can provide that. Your mind doesn't provide the love. It may provide you the definition. But as far as the effort and the act and the overwhelming tenacity and the perseverance and just the pain and the endurance, all of it, no matter how tired you feel, you still get up off the ground after being beaten down, and you still move forward, and you still pursue it. That takes love. I don't care what anybody says. That's way more than your mindset. When you combine and align your heart and your mind together, then you are unstoppable. You can get distracted or you can get beaten down easily in your mind, right? Doubt sets in and you're done. But until you really combine the alignment of your heart and your mind and discover that and tap into that source, then you are unstoppable. That's what I believe.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I think, to swing it back to the interview this morning, I have never met such a person with a good heart as J.J. Virgin. And she isn't retweeting my stuff, but she's certainly liking it and texting me back. And believe it or not, she knew what cerebral palsy was and is, and because she had friends with it, so she's a struggle with cerebral palsy. So for her, being on my podcast, I could just feel the love through the phone, not only talking about her latest book, but just talking to me. I mean, I didn't say in the intro that we're dealing with the New York Times. Definitely not. So I didn't make a big deal of it. I treated her like every other one of my interviews. And so I agree with you. Love comes before the mindset aspect. And I also agree with you that the word personal trainer is being used like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just way too overplayed. I mean, and with all respect to all personal trainers out there, I hope if you are one, I hope you're pursuing to be a really good one, a high quality one. Find a niche that's going to separate you from everyone else and put a lot of love and effort into what you do and become a good coach. There's a huge difference between a personal trainer and a coach. Anyway, so, one of the reasons why I want to delve into this too is it wasn't until recently in the last, 18 to 24 months where I've had this awakening of the alignment of my heart and my mind. I grew up with a lot of anxiety, and I used to suffer from anxiety, and I think we've touched on this before in that if depression is not carrying at all, anxiety is carrying way too much beyond your control. And, I used to wonder why I thought and felt the way that I did, and there was so many unresolved issues that I had to somewhat forgive myself for so that I can free my heart and align it with my mind and understand that anything that I do is okay. It's not a bad thing. Nothing I do is a bad thing. I only have opportunities to improve. When you have doubt, when you have pain, when you have hesitation, when you hear criticism, it's so easy to get beaten down, and you can easily give up, right? And so until you absolutely have cleared your heart, forgiven yourself for any any issues in the past, because you're the only one that really has the power to do that. And most people found in the past, in my career, the ones that hold themselves back and are wishy-washy and they talk themselves in and out of things back and forth are the ones that have had issues or events happen in the past where doubt was set in their mind by something, some person, place, or thing or event, and they don't realize it. And it drives me nuts, because it's like, you don't have to be held hostage by that. You know, it's okay to pursue something and go for it, and don't be afraid of failing. Especially don't be afraid of succeeding. I think people are more afraid of succeeding than they are of anything else. That they like the idea of succeeding at a higher level than they are now, or a really high level, you know, but they can't imagine themselves doing it. They'll go, oh, that'd be nice someday. Oh, yeah, God, that'd be pretty awesome, but I don't know, maybe. Right? There's always some clause to it. There's always some catch to it, you know. No, not necessarily. You know, I mean, your mind cannot discern between the future and the present. It only has, you know, the perception that you create now. So if you're going to be at a next level later, you need to be at the next level now in your mind, so that you can do the necessary action steps to get there with your heart and mind behind it. If you don't, you're never going to get there.
Exactly.
Ever. That's why.
Ever. And as you guys know, during my little health scare, when I thought I was having back surgery, which I'm not, I realized that was my eye-opening moment. I realized that I should make a career pivot, and I should go back to journalism school, which I am doing next Tuesday. I'm putting that out to the universe, that next Tuesday I'm going to sit down and fill out the paperwork. And so I believe that if your heart is not into it, your mind isn't into it either.
Correct. It's just impossible to really open yourself up and get the most creativity out of anything if your heart's not into it. I'm sorry, you just can't. You know, there's no way. I mean, how in the world can you? You know,
I don't know.
How in the world can you? How in the world would you be willing to go at any length to create the best possible path for your endeavor if your heart's not into it? I don't care if you want to create the best, you know, way to clean a toilet versus creating, you know, the world's fastest rocket ship. It doesn't matter. If you don't have your heart into it, there's just no way you're going to come up with the best possible result that you can come up with. It just isn't going to happen. And you're not going to attract the right things to you either.
On Monday, you guys, we're actually going to talk about podcast artwork. But if your gut doesn't like the podcast artwork, your mind won't like showing it off in iTunes. So we'll get into that on Monday. But if you don't have a heart and a passion for something, you're not going to succeed in life. And trust me, I have had a lot of wins in my life, no pun intended, but I have had a lot of setbacks in my life. I wouldn't call them failures, but I definitely had a lot of setbacks. I mean, it took me a good, 2.5 years to get stable on my feet again after my 06 back surgery. And and so that was a major setback there. And so if your heart's not into doing anything, I'm sorry, but now I can't help you.
No, I mean, it's, you know, it makes me think of this. I watched the podcast, the video podcast the other night by a great coach named Shelley Giard, and she talked about, you know, it takes work. And it doesn't matter what endeavor it is, whether it's a personal one or a professional one or an entrepreneurial one or an athletic one. It doesn't matter. There's no one that succeeds short term. It takes a long time of chipping away at it and failing and succeeding and refining and effort and sweat and tears to really reach your highest level. I know of a colleague of mine, and is also a business mentor of mine named AJ Marzad. He's a 7-figure earner in the industry of online coaching, which is incredibly hard to do. And there are 7- and 8-figure earners, and it took him 7.5 years of errors and mistakes and pain and whatnot, and doubt, and picking himself up back off the floor after he felt like giving up and whatnot. And 7.5 years doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're in the middle of the forest and there's 7.5 years ahead of you of just the forest, that seems pretty daunting. So what is going to get you through that? The love for this process, getting married to the process. I don't care if it's rep after rep of ground balls, lap after lap of swimming, sales call after sales call, recording podcast after recording podcast. You have to refine yourself and become an expert at it and absolutely be willing to go through all the mistakes and all the errors and all the ups and all the highs and lows in order to really reach that next level. And that takes an undeniable love and mindset together. I don't care what you say. Yeah, I mean, even stubbornness, right? Stubbornness is not a mental thing. Stubbornness is a trait. It's a behavior. Whether the behaviors come from your heart, they don't come from your mind. Completely. I mean, I don't know. That may be arguable. I don't know. But it's just, when you're relentless, if you're relentless, that's in your emotional DNA. You won't give up. I don't care if it's a negative relentlessness or a positive one or whatever the case may be. If you're an evil person or a good person, that comes from the drive within. That doesn't come from your mind. You can't think your way through that. That's too devious.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but just from my experience of having to deal with anxiety and understanding that, forgiving yourself, having a healthy relationship with yourself, absolutely having positive self-language, that really helps in the process. Now, are there successful people who are toxic, who are just absolute jerks and they don't treat the world well? Sure there are, probably. They got there somehow, right? Probably stepped on a lot of people to get there that probably, were ruthless and very evil. That's on their soul. Maybe that's a path that they've created. But it's, I wouldn't want that path. Would you?
No, quite frankly, no.
Yeah, I mean, who'd want to be around you? I think the love and respect that your peers have for you and that at the end of the day is really, really important, because you're going to go out of this world the same way you came in, with absolutely nothing, right? I've always believed that you're just a shell. You're just a body. Yeah, okay, we're a physical accumulation of bones and muscles and fat cells and mitochondria and all that stuff, but the machination inside, the sentient feelings, all that stuff, that's intangible. We're the only species on Earth that can think about why we feel the way we feel. I don't think apes can. God, if they could do that, that's scary, right? I don't know if dolphins can. And to be able to communicate it and really examine it and just ad nauseum and talk about it like we're talking about. So anyway, I think it's just so important to understand that having a healthy relationship within yourself can get you to that next level. And how many times? I mean, let's talk about parents. Okay, parents who have children, parents who are now homeowners, parents who are in jobs that are miserable, they hate it. But you know what? There's a drive within them to get up every day, to go to that job that they may not like, that makes them unhappy. But they'll do it. They'll do it. The underlying reason they do it is for the love of their family, and they'll do it no matter what. They've got to pay those bills. They've got to keep that roof over their head. That's drive. That's a basic need that has to happen. Now you take an entrepreneur who has a product or a service that they absolutely believe in, and they've spent a lot of time doing it. And no matter what, no matter how tired they are, no matter how much failure they feel, they absolutely believe it, and they love what they do. They've married themselves into the process, and they're stubborn about it, and they believe it, That takes more than mental mindset. Way more. The triathlete who wants to, deduct 10 minutes off their time. 10 minutes. You have a full understanding of that. 10 minutes off anything is incredible.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I do.
Case in point, last August, I leaned out. I did a nutritional challenge for 24 days, and I lost 12 pounds. And I didn't realize how polluted I was. I was so devastated by this picture of myself after a 160-mile trail event I did with a team, thinking I was looking great, and I was going to use the photographs for marketing pieces and blah, blah, blah. And what I saw floored me. So over the next 30 days, I transformed myself, nutritionally, lost 12 pounds. And what happened after that is over the next 4 months, in 3.5 marathons over a 4-month period, I shaved off 12 minutes. Was it 15? 12 or 15. And I couldn't believe it, And that took effort. That took love. And trust me, I have a very special relationship with food. I'm an emotional eater. And it was
you admit, please explain on this podcast.
It took me a lot because I wanted more what I wanted the most rather than what I wanted now. And that's another thing right there. Wanting what you want the most, achieving and acquiring what you want the most, takes a lot of love and mental effort versus what you want now. You can easily give in and say, I can have this and I'll work on that later. Rather than, let me stick to the process. I'm going to stick to the process no matter how painful it is right now, because I love the idea that if I stick to this process, I love the result more than I love the immediate gratification right now. I'm willing to give that up because of my love for my goal, the love for my mission, and the love for the reward, rather than giving in and detracting from my mindset and just acquiring what I can have now. It's a reward versus the shiny object that's dangling in front of you right now, right? So that's the difference between a mission and a mindset, and a goal to me. Because when you're on a mission, think about it. I'm on a mission. When you're on a mission, even just saying it, that's different than saying, I have a goal in mind, right? To me, just how it feels to say it. When you're on a mission, that means absolutely nothing is going to stop you. You're on a mission to make sure that is done. And no matter what, you're going to get it done. A goal is part of the process of the mission. So if you achieve 5 or 10 or 15 short-term goals to get to your mission, then you're on the right track. What do you think?
I definitely agree. Let's quit this goals thing and let's turn it into a mission thing. And my mission is, and all my fan base knows this right now, my mission is to teach people about cerebral palsy, no matter if they're New York Times bestselling authors or the average Joe. My mission is to teach people about cerebral palsy. It isn't my goal. It's my mission in my life.
Okay, so let's think about it for a second, all right? Let's use triathletes and let's use your educational pursuits as your mission. Your mission is to be able to educate the disabled, right? Okay, there's a lot attached to that. It's meaningful to you. But in order to get to that, there's steps you need to do first, right? Which is the decision you made to do it, okay? And then the decision to get the education. Well, the education is going to be done in steps, whether they're classes or sections or exams you need to take or whatever. Those are goals. Those are goals that you need to overcome and endure and thrive in. And once you've succeeded with them, you go to the next goal, and then the next one, and the next one. You get closer and closer to your mission. Every time you feel the success in that goal, doesn't it make you feel happy? Doesn't it make you feel great? Let's say you didn't. You failed at that short-term goal. Doesn't that upset you? Doesn't that hurt you? I'm sorry. That has a lot to do with your heart. That's got nothing to do with your mind. right?
Yeah.
so
Yes.
again,
Right.
what's going to fuel you forward if you feel failure? You're going to reiterate that mission and say, okay, I'm upset. I'm going to put forth more effort because I love the end result so much that I'm not going to give up. Okay, let's get on to the next goal. Let me overcome that so I can get closer to my mission. Now, if you're a triathlete,
Yeah.
it is what? There's 3 events in a triathlon, right? Run, swim, bike. Maybe you're blessed and talented enough to be strong in all 3. Most people are not. Okay? Some people are stronger swimmers. Yeah, some people have stronger track backgrounds, and some people have stronger road bike track backgrounds, right? So if you want to really excel in that endeavor as a triathlete, you've got to strengthen your weaknesses so that your weaknesses can become an equal strength and then balance your game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay? So let's say swimming is your weakness, and 5 a.m. every day you've got to go swim laps, and then once a month you're going to do an open water swim. Well, there's timing involved, right? So eating properly, getting the right amount of rest, being on the right program, those are all goals that you need to achieve so that you shave off time and refine your technique in swimming. Therefore, strengthening that weakness, therefore getting you closer to your mission because you've achieved that goal. Right? There's a huge difference between a mission. It's not your mission to be a better swimmer. No, that's just a process. Your mission is when the time comes. It all comes together. When you're done with your swim, you're out of the water, boom, you're on your run, boom. When you get to the bike, if that's your weakness, you're ready to go. Maybe it was your running. Maybe that's your weakness. Okay, now you're a better strider. You're a forefoot striker now instead of a heel striker. You understand your fueling. Okay, you know how to work through that. Or maybe you're a swimmer. Maybe your swimming was weaker, and maybe your kick is better. I don't know, but it all has to come together in order for you to feel that reward at the end, because there's 2 things you want to accomplish at the end of a triathlon: A, finishing it, and B, if it's a repeat triathlon for you, doing better than you did last. And you've got to improve in one of the 3 areas. One of the 3 has to be shorter than the last 3 that you did previous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that takes a lot of heart and a mission, and that's different from a goal.
If you don't have passion for it, which that's another whole podcast in itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. You're not going to get anywhere.
No. Passionate. The passion behind anything. The most successful companies in the world talk about their passion for it. Like Ralph Lauren, right? World famous designer. And I read somewhere where he started out selling neckties. And it was like, okay, well, what's the difference between his neckties and everybody else's? What's the love he put behind it, the passion behind the design, and so on and so on. You look at the most successful people and the most successful companies, they always talk about the passion behind the product, the passion behind the process, the passion behind the service. Where does passion come from? It comes from love. Where does love come from? Your heart.
Your heart.
So that's your main,
then your mindset sets in.
Right.
It's not the other way around. It's not the other way around.
No.
And if you think it is, to all listeners out there, if you think it's the other way around, stop, turn around, turn off this podcast, and I mean turn off this podcast, and then we'll lose a few listeners. But if this is not for you, if this self-help talk is not for you, and this mission of teaching you about physical disabilities and how to better yourself is not for you, stop, pull your headphones out, and turn off this podcast and go someplace else. I don't mind. Maybe I'm not the right person for you, but it all comes from love and passion, and then mindset comes last.
Right. It's important that they go hand in hand, So what's the first step in doing that? Well, take inventory. How is your heart? to yourself? How is your self-love? That is the simplest form. That is the simplest form of how strong is your emotional drive. What's your self-love like? That's the first thing. If you don't have the highest level of self-love for yourself, how in the world are you going to be that passionate about an endeavor that you want to achieve? I'm sorry. I don't know. I just, how does it work that way? You know, because where does doubt come from?
I don't know either.
Right?
I don't know either.
Where does doubt, rejection, anxiety, depression, where does that all come from? That comes from somebody stepping all over your heart in the past. you know, you've got to heal that heart.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's the first thing you want to do. Take inventory. What is it? What's going on with you? Dare to look at that. Dare to look at your self-relationship. How healthy is it? I swear to you, if you attack that first, and if you really take the time to do that, and it's an uncomfortable thing. Nobody likes to talk about that. Oh, you know, that's touchy-feely, or, you know, oh, Mel, you're way off. You're wrong. I'll tell you what. First test, look in the mirror. Okay? Stand in the mirror, in front of the mirror, and stare at yourself. How can you do it? How long can you do it? How long can you really stare at yourself before you start getting uncomfortable? You know why you get uncomfortable? Because you don't like the person you're looking at. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Right? But if you can look in the mirror and have a twinkle in your eye and be loving to that person in front of you and understand that they are one and the same, there's an inner person, there's some healing that needs to go on, there's some scars, and it's okay, and the only person that's going to heal the person looking at you in the mirror is you, then you got some work to do. Then you're on the right track. You can apply that level of self-respect and love into your endeavors. You'd be stunned as to how unstoppable you can be.
Exactly, and this is coming from the other side who's able-bodied, and this is also coming from a disabled person who's had many challenges in their life, who will be turning the grand old 30 on June 22nd. Yes.
It's going to be an awesome day.
Grand old 30. And yes, Mel is going to actually help me with something on June 19th, which will be airing on June 22nd. So, Mel is going to be, I guess, I'm being taken over by Mel. I have no idea what he's going to ask me. I have no idea where this podcast is going on June 22nd. We'll find out together. And also,
yes, we will.
I have just finished my second autobiography. My second autobiography now is going through the editing process. It will be out on Amazon. Hopefully in May. I will self-publish it, and then I will get it on audio tape, hopefully in September. So you guys have the second chapter of looking forward to my life in May. So it's kind of like where the now wisdom from DP, basically. It's not as intense as I Come a Win. I could not put all my fans through that again. I could not put myself through that again, let alone all my fans. I Come a Win was very, very, very intense for me to write, and I just thought, okay, if I'm going to do Where They Now book, I need to do it on the lighter side, and you guys know enough about cerebral palsy from me and Googling it that I didn't think you needed a second version of the original book, I Come a Win. But if you guys want a second version of I Come a Win as to where I am now, you guys are welcome to tweet me, DM me, email me, text me, call me, and I'm happy to do it for you. It's just time intensive when you look at cerebral palsy through one person's mindset and through one person's heart. Speaking of the heart today, it's time intensive when you look at a disability through the heart and through the mindset. So I think we had a great conversation. If you're not passionate about it, we're sorry, we can't help you. One, if you're on a mission, that's great. If you have goals, that's great too, but it all comes from the heart, as Mel and I said. Mel, is there anything else that you want to close out on this Friday?
You know, aside from thank you to everybody for listening to this, it's a really important thing. Again, first simple test, self-love. Have a conversation with yourself. Take a look at that person in front of the mirror and really have a great conversation with that person and work on your self-language. If you can do that first, you'll be well on your way to setting any unstoppable mission ahead of you. That's it.
And just to let you guys know, Mel is picking up another podcast, two other podcasts, one with me called The Wisdom of Fashion. By the way, we're getting logos sent over tonight and getting that set up over the weekend, and so we'll start recording that one, I believe, in April. And then the Art of Love with Rebecca Price is going to be Mel's other podcast, and I believe they are shooting for April. Is that correct, Mel?
Yes, right now we're looking at somewhere around mid-April. It's actually The Art of Sexuality. Yeah. It's going to be an intelligent look at, sex and, sex.
I got the name.
It'll be fun.
It's called The Art of Love. No, it's The Art of Sexuality. And once it comes out, I will be obviously promoting that on my podcast, right, because I want to support you guys.
Thank you.
Make it as successful as I can, because this is our mission in life, is to talk about the stuff that other people want to push under the rug, and we want to bring it out.
Right. No, it's going to be brilliant. So thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and we're looking forward to it, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys have a safe and a wonderful weekend. And Mel and I will be back here on Monday. I will be back here on Monday also interviewing, but Mel and I will be back here on Monday talking about the beauty of a podcast, i.e. the cover artwork, aka the cover artwork. So wrapping of a Christmas gift being the Christmas gift being podcast. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to teach you guys along with Mel about the beauty of a podcast. So we'll catch you guys back here on Monday, and I hope you guys have a very successful April Fool's Day, and no pulling serious April Fool's jokes on the podcasting community, because we can't handle it. We can't handle it. So I will, we'll see you guys on Monday, and then I have another huge announcement. I will figure out what my teaching will be as of next year. So hopefully I get my dream job. But if my dream job doesn't happen this year, it will at least happen in the next couple of years. And I have a plan B for my dream job. So plan A is, plan A, I have plan B, but they know they can't stick me with preschoolers anymore. So we'll see what happens on Monday with that, and I will let you guys know what they decide, and hopefully I can bring my boss on and have her explain why they hired me, and then why they philosophies of Country Day, so you guys can learn all about my day job, which is now turning into my side hustle to keep my main income, this podcast, alive. That's what
awesome.
I consider myself. So I'm going to let now go, and I will catch you guys on Monday, and I hope you guys enjoyed a fabulous episode of Butterflies of Lucas. See you guys.
Thank you.